And welcome back. It's May. It's gotta be May. And we're just back. It's just we're business as usual for the next couple of weeks. And to start things off with May, we have one from Hyperdesk Sans Level 99 who asked the question, who would win in a fight? Pennywise the Dancing Clown or SCP-960 or sorry, SCP-96? I believe its moniker is the Shy Guy, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on, 96, gonna get it up here right now. Yep, the Shy Guy. Look, Pennywise, veteran of the veteran. I'm not gonna say how many fights he's won and lost, but his win ratio isn't the best. But still, as elder statesman of this channel at this point, we all know Pennywise at this point. He is the main antagonist of the It book, TV series, and movie. He is from the Macroverse, which is a universe outside of our universe. He keeps the company in terms of beings such as similar to like Matura the Turtle, the is Scarlet King. I always forget it's the Crimson King or the Scarlet King. I want to say it's the Scarlet King. Pennywise is a species of being from that world. He's known as a Glimmer. It's not known if there's more of his species, but he does have a species. His actual form is a little hard to deduce, though. It's implied that the Deadlights are his real form, but it's also implied that he does have a real form that isn't the Deadlights. The closest we ever got a description of is like a mass of teeth and hair. I think he was depicted as being orange, too. But he is comparable to Maturin, but not above the Scarlet King. He's not the top dog of the Stephen King universe. He's very powerful, though. But obviously, as we know, he genuinely likes to, likes to take the form of Pennywise the Dancing Clown. This is to instill fear, especially in kids which are easier to scare, and fear is salting the meat, as he puts it. He loves to instill fear because it makes people taste better to him. And Pennywise, basically, if you're asked what Pennywise's abilities basically are, the answer is yes. Like, Pennywise can kind of do anything, but within a certain limitation. Pennywise can cast illusions, can teleport, can read your mind, deduce your fear, make your fear come to life, basically. Is capable of shape-shifting and becoming intangible and invisible. Pennywise is capable of warping reality to a certain degree. Pennywise is capable of getting stronger based off of fear, and is overall just a vicious, sadistic son of a bitch. But as we all know, too, Pennywise does have a couple key weaknesses. And the big one, if you are not afraid of Pennywise, if you do not exhibit fear, while Pennywise is not completely without options, his powers diminish. He needs to feed off of fear to help to keep him strong. If someone is not afraid of him and stands up to him, this will severely weaken what abilities he has. Case in point, when the adult Richie, at least in the movie, we'll use as an example, was confronted again by Pennywise in the form of the leper, he was initially overwhelmed, but then he started to fight back, and Pennywise backed the F off because Richie was no longer afraid of him. He was basically choking the life out of him, and so he backed off. This is again shown in some of the other parts of the movies, where someone stood up to him and he just wouldn't have it. This works particularly well when you are in a group. When you're in a large group, that's more people standing up to him. It weakens him drastically. Now, obviously, there's also the ritual of Chud. In the books, technically, the ritual of Chud was really the only method you actually had to beat him, technically. But obviously, that's just the books and in that universe. So you can't bring that into a versus match because honestly, there are beings much more powerful than Pennywise in all the fictions and medias. You can think of any anime, any movie, or any fictional world, comics, whatever, and there's got to be at least 100 characters minimum that are stronger than Pennywise by a large margin. So Pennywise is not infallible, but Pennywise is very powerful. The Shy Guy, SCP-096, is a Euclid class SCP. Now, for those of you who don't know SCPs, real quick, they're ranked. There are 3 basic rankings for SCPs. There are more than that. Sorry, there are more than that, but they're like the three main ones. They're safe, which means this is either a harmless SCP that will not cause any world-ending damage or hurt people, or it's just safely contained. There's no issue with it. Then you have the Cater class, which usually are very powerful, very dangerous, and potentially world-ending, depending on the SCP. But most importantly, are the most difficult to contain. And then you have Euclid, which I might be mispronouncing that, but I believe it's either Euclid or Euclid. Either way, this is a class of SCP that isn't always dangerous, but isn't always safe either. Very few of them are world-ending or that dangerous. Most of them, they're not easy to contain, but they're also not impossible to contain. It just takes a lot of effort to contain them. But they can be contained and generally and safely. But they also have a tendency of getting out every now and then. The Shy Guy is basically a humanoid creature measuring about approximately 2.38 meters high, which is roughly in the neighborhood of like almost 7 feet, give or take. Subject shows very little muscle mass, and preliminary analysis of the body mass suggests mild malnutrition. Arms are grossly out of proportion with the rest of the subject's body, with an approximate length of 1.5 meters. Skin is mostly devoid of pigmentation, with no signs. By the way, hold on. I'm gonna get that conversion up there. Meters to feet. Hold on. Meters to feet. What is that exactly? Let's see. 1 meter is 3.2 feet. So 2.38 meters is. Oh, okay. Sorry. That's 7'8". That's getting close to 8 feet tall. Anyway. So its skin is mostly devoid of pigment with no signs of body hair. Its jaw can open up 4 times the norm of an average human. Other facial features remain similar to an average human, with the exception of the eyes, which are devoid of pigmentation. It is not yet known whether or not it is blind or not. It shows no signs of higher brain function. It is not considered to be sapient, meaning it doesn't seem to have any real high mental faculties. It's normally extremely docile, with pressure sensors inside its cell, indicating it spends most of its day pacing by the eastern wall. However, when someone views its face, whether it be directly via video recording or even a photograph, it will enter a stage of considerable emotional distress. It will cover its face with its hands and begin screaming, crying, and babbling incoherently. Approximately 1 to 2 minutes after the first viewing, it will begin running to the person who viewed its face, and will, from this point, who viewed its face. Documented speeds have varied from 35 kilometers an hour to an unknown amount of speed. That's to a redacted level. So, yeah, even if I highlight it, I wouldn't say that. And seems to depend on distance from the target. At this point, no known material or method can impede the SCP-096. We'll just keep calling the Shy Guy from running out. Progress. The actual position of the target does not seem to affect where the Shy Guy will respond. It seems to have an innate sense of where its target is. This reaction does not occur when viewing an artistic depiction, however, of the SCP. Upon arriving to the target's location, Shy Guy will proceed to kill and blank the target. That is also data expunged. That implies to me he might eat the target. 100% of all the cases have left no traces of the target. It will then sit down for several minutes before regaining its composure and becoming docile again. It will then attempt to make its way back to its natural habitat. So basically, yeah, this is a guy that it's normally perfectly harmless, but for some reason, if you see its face in any medium other than like a painting, it will go berserk. Nothing can stop it, and it will go and kill you / possibly eat you. So, obviously, the condition for Pennywise fighting this thing would be maybe Pennywise is somehow stuck in the SCP Foundation. He'd probably be a Cater class. It'd be next to impossible to keep this guy in check. At the very minimum, he'd be a high-level Euclid. But most likely, he's a Cater class, and given the SCP universe, it'd be possible maybe to keep him contained. But especially because, he goes to sleep for, every 27 years. So if they're able to get him as he's hibernating, maybe they'd be able to contain him and figure out something from there. But let's say he wakes up, starts going on a rampage, maybe starts eating people, whatever. And he just happens to end up he wouldn't end up in the enclosure because that thing is walled off. What would most likely happen is he would end up in the observation room where, the video cameras are on SCP, the Shy Guy. And ultimately, he ends up seeing Shy Guy's face, and Shy Guy starts freaking out. Pennywise is like, what? Whatever. And just goes about his business. And he's maybe finds one of the SCP, children SCPs. And he's like, hello. And all of a sudden, he just hears a noise like, and then it's Shy Guy just comes like, what? And just smacks the Shy Guy around, who just keeps coming at him. And just get off of me. And they just start clashing. For no reason. Pennywise is confused as hell right now. Just turns into a giant spider girl, whatever kid runs. Turns into the giant spider form. It just starts attacking, biting him. And Pennywise is just confused as hell. Starts beating the ever-loving crap out of this thing. And here I think is the big point here for SCP, for the Shy Guy. So, okay, there is at least a log about a break, a containment breach for the Shy Guy. So I'm going to read this little excerpt here. Could you describe it? So basically, a captain, whatever, and a doctor are talking. The captain goes, yeah, well, I never saw its face. My squad did, and they paid for it up the ass. Could you describe it a little bit more, please? Guy pauses. Yeah. It started screaming at us and crying, not animal roaring, sounding exactly like a person. Really fucking creepy. Pauses. Started firing when it picked up Corporal name, whatever, and ripped off his leg. God, he was screaming for our help. Fucking A. Anyway, we were blowing chunks out of the target round after round. Didn't do jack shit. I almost lost it when it started blanking him. I'm being honest. There's two implications to that expunge data, whatever else it does. One is, it is the most likely it eats the target. That's why there's nothing left. But it could be it fornicates with the target. I don't know. Let me know if anyone knows the expunge data, what it does. My guess is it probably eats people. And so anyway, the doctor says, well, that's when you were ordered to use, and papers are heard moving, AT-4 HEDT launcher. An anti-tank gun, started carrying it ever since SCP whatever got loose. My guess that might be 682 for all we know. I've seen those tear through tanks like tissue. Oh no, that could have been actually one of the more hot it's clearly like a group of beings that form an SCP. Did the same thing to the target. There was significant damage to the Shy Guy, and the guy goes, nope. Didn't even fucking flinch. It kept tearing through my squad, but with half its torso gone. He draws a large half circle around its torso, but it was taking damage. If it wasn't showing it. It must have lost all its organs and all its blood, but it didn't acknowledge any of it. Its bone structure wasn't hurt at all, though. It kept tearing my squad apart. So no actual structural damage. How many rounds do you say you fired? At least 1,000. Our door gunner kept his GAU 19 on for at least 20 seconds. 20 fucking seconds. That's 600 rounds, 650 caliber rounds pumped into this thing. Might as well have been spinning at it. This is when the Zulu 9B arrived. Yep. My squad was gone. Zulu 9B managed to get the bag over its head, and it just sat down. We got it into the chopper. I don't know how I saw it. I don't know how I never saw its face. Maybe God or Buddha or whatever I should live, or thought I should live. The jackass. We have obtained an artist's depiction of its face. Would you like to view it? He says, after hearing that thing scream and screams of my men, I don't think I want to put a face to what I heard. No, just no. All right, I believe we're done here. Thank you, Captain. And so basically, this thing is durable enough to survive heavy 50 cal of firing at its torso and keep going at its body. Apparently, its flesh is no more durable than anyone else's flesh, but its bone structure is the key. If Pennywise can basically take this thing's head off and break its skull and kill its brain, my guess is that's what's going to end up killing that. But because even a 50 cal rifle couldn't get through the bone structure of this thing, that skull has to be insanely durable. I don't know, the fact that it must have a pretty good regenerative capability too, because it just goes about, existing. So we come back to the fight. The question now just becomes, would Pennywise be able to butcher SCP, the Shy Guy? Uh, and I'll say this, because of the way its body works, apparently, he could tear the flesh off it, no problem. The bones are going to be hard to break, though. Even in his giant form, the bones won't be easy to break if it can survive God knows how many 50 cal rifles. But bones are also connected by ligaments and joints. In theory, he could start pulling apart the Shy Guy, bit by bit, piece by piece, until eventually, maybe he's just a torso, and then he just takes his head off. And maybe he is able to eventually smash his head into the ground and just break it. But it might take a lot of effort on Pennywise's part. Either way, I do think Pennywise would win the fight. I think the longer the fight goes on, though, and the longer it takes him to do any serious damage, it is going to be more difficult for him. This is just going to come down to the fact that the Shy Guy isn't really afraid of him. Although with the emotions the Shy Guy is probably putting out might still be something he can feed off of, because there's clearly some level of fear and sorrow and sadness there. So Pennywise might be able to feed off that. So I'll go Pennywise in this fight. The Shy Guy would be an interesting individual, to say the least, to put in a fight with Pennywise. But either way, that's just my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Until then, though, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you folks for the next one.